Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Intuition Unleashed, a revolution in personal liberation. I am your host, Beck Nelson. Thanks for joining us today. I am so excited to introduce my guest, Lucinda Rae. And there's so many wonderful things about her, both personally and professionally, that I can't wait to talk about. But Linda Rae is the founder and CEO of the digital marketing agency Prosperity Branding, as well as the creator of the Wealthy Empress Mastermind. Doesn't that sound like something you want to know more about? A branding expert, marketing and women's empowerment and visibility mentor, Lucinda is blazing the way for women online businesses and leaders to create sustainable prosperity, to create lasting impact in their personal and professional lives. Using her prosperity branding method, she teaches, as she teaches, Lucinda went from scarcity and self-sabotage to six figures when she cracked the code of expressing her essence and discovering her unique flavor of holy hot visibility. Ooh, that's trademarked. I need to hear more about that. And began teaching women how to show up, stand out, and do the same, even if you're a highly sensitive, empathic, or introverted person. As an award-winning artist and internationally acclaimed prosperity brand strategist, Lucinda activates and creates the power of your online and offline offerings with visual image to attract abundance and audience through natural magnetism and stunning visual branding and celebrity-worthy photography. Delivering graphic design, visual identity creation, branding, online marketing, and website development for over 20 years, Lucinda has created over 300 brand identities for corporate and creative entrepreneurs, iconic, strong feminine leaders, and has captured thousands of stunning images and graphics, and now teaches women entrepreneurs how to create 6- and 7-figure iconic brands. Whew, that's awesome. I love that.
Good job.
All right. And by the way, this is on a personal note. Lucinda did this for me, and I have to, share her with the world because I can't keep her to myself. Because if you've been on my website, guess who created my website?
Me.
Yeah. And lots of questions in here. Lucinda, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I love being here with you, Beck.
I appreciate that. And can you tell people where you're calling in from?
Where I'm calling in from? Yes, Portland, Oregon.
Whew, anybody else in the Pacific Northwest?
It's my home state. Just moved from Santa Barbara County. So definitely a shift.
Yeah, and literally within the past month or two.
Couple months, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you say just, you mean just.
Okay, I guess it's been 3, but still, just yeah, it's a lot to land when you move at a state. Yeah.
For sure. And we were trying to set up a time to meet today. You already were so grounded in where you're living because you're like, oh, I have planned, this neighbor's coming over and I've got our dinner plans. And wow, you really do establish yourself in wherever you are in your community.
We really wanted to land in a lot of community up here. It was one of the reasons we wanted to move because we're a little, small town down there, moved to a bigger city and find community. So we have really cool neighbors. We got blessed.
And you know what? But that is like the essence. I'm bringing this up because that is really the essence who you are. You really engage yourself with whoever you're with.
Oh, thank you.
So, and this is one of the reasons that I adore you. So can you start with talking about who your ideal client is?
Yes, you, Beck. No, but really, really, you are an ideal client. My ideal client is a soulful, spiritual woman entrepreneur who is ambitious. She's really focused on elevating her business. She wants to, she's an action taker. She's, not so in the clouds that she can't get stuff done or, get things to me, but she's also very spiritual and tuned in and empathic, or like I said, highly sensitive, or, just someone that gets essence and gets soul and leads her business with soul and her life with soul. So I can help really ground that into the world, into the kind of, online sphere, into the 3-dimensional, and help her expand her business.
Also sounds a whole lot like you.
Yeah, right. We are oftentimes our ideal clients, aren't we? Or evolved version of our ideal client.
Typically. Absolutely. You also said she. So do you typically just deal with women?
It's been a thing. I don't say no to the right man if, if they're a good fit, but typically work with women. Yeah. It's just kind of evolved that way. But I do have a man website client I'm working with right now. So
And bringing
yeah.
out his feminine side.
No. Complete. Actually, that's like a side anyway. Landscape business, just not. Yeah.
Oh,
He's a Oregonian, and he knew me from my hometown, and he connected through someone. So I'm like, I have to work with you. Just a cool guy. So
if
anyhow,
that's the appropriate verbiage, Oregonian.
yeah. If you're anywhere from the state, I think people say Oregonian or Oregon or something. Yeah,
Well,
it's
thank you.
Oregon. Oh,
Thank you for that.
Oregon. Sorry.
So what would you say is the typical problem that you solve for your ideal client?
Oh gosh. So really bringing out, like I said, the essence and grounding them in a professional, aligned personal brand, and helping their gifts, their core values come into visibility. And visibility means on the online sphere, in their website, in their graphics, and their visual branding, but also so many of the women I work with, and I've kind of niched it in these women who are spiritual because they've been through, or they're going through, some visibility issues that are really big. They feel like scary. Anyway, that's another question, but it's it's really helping people overcome visibility obstacles so they can land in their personal branding and show up to shine online, in a nutshell.
Okay, so when you say that goes into the next question, you're talking about some mistakes that people make when they're trying to solve that visibility issue.
Yeah, and just the obstacles of, I think, being seen. Some people are just terrified of being seen, especially as spiritual women entrepreneurs. It's been the thread that I've supported, like even my one-on-one website clients with. I do like a lot of business coaching kind of on the back end, or sometimes when it's needed, I do business coaching. And sometimes people have big visibility blocks. And so I'm just really here to encourage, let's get your gifts into the world. Let's not let that dream die inside of you. Let's, remember we're not, witches or whatever in that past life where we're going to be persecuted for being seen as a spiritual, soulful woman entrepreneur, for example. And just the fact, if you're a spiritual woman, sometimes it's scary to have your family see that and you get visible with that. So there's just a whole range with visibility. And that's really that, like, over and over, that repeat thing that I see people have an issue with. And the obstacle of overcoming the fear of judgment, the fear of persecution, which is more of an internal subconscious thing from who knows past lives, or if you believe in that, or even in this life, having people judge you or criticize or shame you for, being woo-woo or magical or fully expressed or fully shiny because you don't want to like outshine someone else, or, there's just so many layers to it. It's really deep.
So breaking through some, like, what is it that keeps you from wanting to be visible, calling those out and then addressing them?
Right. Probably a lot of the work that you do is like, yeah, like like cutting the shit with literally allowing, I hope I can swear on the podcast. That was the only one I'll say.
Please do.
Thank you. Um, it's just allowing the projections of all the other people's things, what people will think of you, or feeling like you don't have enough credentials, and then just shrinking back. Or even introverts. I mean, it's not that all introverts are shy, but it's like we like our time to refresh and go invisible. So like I encourage that, but like then you have to come forward to really share your message online. There's different ways to do that, but like people who hate doing video, for example, like it's a coming forward, and it's just a different way of sharing your energy perhaps than like me working in my art studio. That's like my favorite place to be, or even behind the computer, or behind the camera. It's just a different energy than like if I was on the other side of the camera having a photo shoot of me, because I'm being seen. So
So you're telling me that that's something that you struggle with too?
yeah, that's why I like to teach it, and that's why I like to help people. It's going to be a lifelong thing. Like I have many stories around my desire to shine and share my gifts in the world, but the things that hold me back, or just I just want to go in my closet, my spiritual closet, and meditate. That's just my happy place. And so coming forth in the world, and so it's a dance. Like I have more issues with it than other times, and right here it's like a conversation and it feels good and we're chatting. But it's been a process for me to like jump on video and chat with someone and get over my people pleasing BS, like the kind of stuff that you work with people, or my over giving nature, things like this, where I'm, needing to be in check with that to be visible.
No, overgiving, no.
Yeah.
So you're talking about balance, finding balance.
I am a Libra sun sign, so that's helpful. Yes, it's all about the balance. That's right.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So what's a valuable free action that the audience can take that would help with some of that, finding some of that balance and getting better with that visibility?
Yeah. Well, okay. So for the balance piece, I guess I think of the moon. This is a metaphor I like to say, the moon is not always full. Sometimes she covers herself. So to give people who are not like, if you're feeling introverted or sensitive or having some visibility issues, like allow yourself that space. Or if you're getting your website done and you're coming to your personal brand, get the personal brand photo shoot with a photographer you like can trust and resonate with, but take those baby steps to come forward and to be more seen and to allow your essence to shine. But remember that you can also have the time to self-care and nourish and be the new moon in the sky, so you can be invisible and replenish. Sometimes when people have visibility stuff and they come forward in too much, like they have a visibility hangover, or I think Brene Brown calls it, I don't know if it's Brene Brown or not, vulnerability hangover. It's like there's also visibility hangovers where you're like, okay, I just was out there too much. Now I need to like back up a little bit. Or like you have a launch and you just need to, give some time afterwards to replenish. That's the balance. So baby
So
steps.
we're also talking about listening to your intuition and your body. And if your body says this is too much, then give yourself that time to recharge, you're saying.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
Okay.
Yes, yes. And try to schedule things. So it's like the balance of the intuition, right brain, and the like, the strategy and the other things. But if you're having a day, you're just like, this is too much, just allow it to be, allow things to move around if needed.
Okay.
That's, for the real sensitive types. Yeah, but absolutely intuition.
I
Thank
think
you.
the moon is something that people can really relate to because you're right.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just a little crescent and sometimes she's fully shining.
Yeah. And we have like our female cycles and this earth has cycles, and it's just like, yeah, but I love the balance piece.
Honor your seasons.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Um, so what's a valuable free resource that you can direct people to that would help with that finding that balance and that visibility, et cetera?
Yeah, since we're into the visibility piece, I'm launching a book soon, which I'm really excited about. And I'm currently Holy Hot Visibility, the thing you saw, is my book. And I'm just like I haven't even announced it barely, but so Holy Hot Visibility is my book coming out. And if you go to holyhotvisibility.com, I'm gonna have very soon, probably by the time this podcast is in the world, we're gonna have uh a meditation around a holy hot visibility activation and a cheat sheet with like the 7 holy hot visibility gateways that you can like print out, and they're kind of will be affirmations to really just stand in that. And then I might do a free chapter, we'll see, but it's going to be a little like gifty place that I'll be giving some
Hot
gifts.
visibility is the name of the book.
Holy hot visibility.
I love that.
Thank you.
Hot like this is making me feel a little bit embarrassed or warm or anxious.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, that's awesome. When do you know when you expect that to be published?
Why do you feel warm?
Oh, because I'm thinking like if you're thinking about being visible and
Mm,
then it kind of like it's exciting, but at the same time it's like, what am I doing? What the hell? Right? Like that
right.
hangover that you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a whole, yeah. There's a lot of energy around it. Yeah. So and the book, it's like the hot is really the purpose, and the holy is like because we're spiritual people, we're soulful. And it's like, how do we be? It's like the balance. Again, it's like that juxtaposition of words. We're holy, the holiness, and then we're in the world, we're shining, we're on purpose, we're on fire with our creative purpose. And then how do we be visible with all that? Excuse me.
That's awesome.
And it should publish in May. I don't have the dates nailed in. I'm going to be nailing that down very soon.
May of 23.
Sometime. Excuse me.
I love the title. Makes because it makes me go, what does that even mean? Holy hub, right? That's what you
Yeah.
want.
It means shining brighter with less fear. What it really means.
So one of the valuable resources that I know, and I don't know if it's still up on your website, is your quiz.
Mm-hmm. It's not very active right now, but maybe I can get it back active by the time people listen to this. Yes, that's do you do show notes? Can I give you a link for that?
Absolutely. Yes, we do show
Okay,
notes.
great. Yeah, and that reveals your primary brand archetype. And that's a huge foundational piece of my branding work is revealing your top three ideally archetypes. Like you have a primary and two secondaries. So that will give you your primary brand archetype, which is basically based on your core values. And I don't need to riff into that unless you want me to, but I'm totally obsessed with the archetypes, the brand archetypes.
I found that very personally liberating and empowering because what I would have thought that my brand archetype was not what it ended up being. If you remember that whole conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and I think mine was queen or something, and I'm like, well, I am a queen only because you didn't have Jedi as one of your things. But
Well, I mean, isn't Princess Leia Queen and a Jedi or Princess, whatever,
yes, of course she is.
something like that?
You get me.
You can be both.
And I feel like that totally comes out when in the branding that you did on my website. So
Thank you
I'm
so
a
much.
live example of that. I love my website. Um,
Yay.
so I digress. I'm so sorry. So the free resource that we're going to direct people to is your book, Holy Hot Visibility.
Yes, there'll be gifts there. I don't think the book will be free. I might do a free funnel with like a shipping piece, but it might be, yeah, so it might be free, but there'll be resources on that web page. Yes.
Amazing. So what is a question that I should have asked you that would be of some value to our audience that I did not?
Oh gosh, I forgot about this one. Help me pull this out of the air.
Probably the one that I just asked you about your free resource to get your branding archetype.
There you go. Yeah, and yeah, what is a branding archetype and why is it important? Because you need to know your essence so that you can message, you can have your visuals, you can have your website, and everything be really cohesive. And that's why a brand archetype is important to know.
I think it also makes you very authentic because if
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to put yourself out there to be something that you're not, people can really feel that energy of this isn't
Yeah.
really who you are.
Right. Yeah, it reminds you to go back to that cornerstone of your authenticity. Absolutely. And it's easy to go, okay, if you don't know your core values and your archetypes, and you're looking at that person's website, well, they're kind of a rock star, and that's kind of cool. And then you try to be a rock star, but you're really not a rock star, i.e., rebel, revolutionary archetype, and you're just, like, rah, on your website. It's just not. And yeah, you're right. So it's absolutely authenticity.
And people can feel that on your
Mm-hmm.
website if it's not who you truly are.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't speak to your core audience, your ideal audience.
Right, because honestly, a lot of times our core audience is one of our top three archetypes. So many of my clients are alchemists, or they have a alchemist in one of their top three because they're resonating with not only the designs I'm putting out there, but my number one archetype being alchemist. So it's really interesting. We buzz around each other's core values typically,
Mhm.
often.
And that's why they're your ideal client.
Mm-hmm.
You understand them.
Right.
So, the key question, what is your definition and understanding of personal liberation?
Such a good question. And to try to be succinct, I would say it's getting free from others' projections is such a big one I'm learning for myself lately. And allowing myself to know really like what I'm anchored in, like really for me, it's being anchored in divinity, God, source. And truly that is my ultimate. And lately, a nuanced version of that is being free. And like if I have a projection or I'm projecting, like to just let that dither and to really know the truth, what I stand in and know is as true for me.
It sounded like, I don't know if you mind me asking this, but I saw on your Facebook page something that you posted about somebody testing that like
Yes.
yesterday.
Yeah. It's been amazing how much energy has been around that post. I'm like, wow. And yeah. So someone like called me out in my wealthy empress brand because she perceived me as being like a graphic designer for 20 years, even though behind the scenes, I'm doing a lot of business coaching and I've taken so many business courses, invested in myself. And so I know business in a lot of ways. And so the way I teach it, anyway, so I named that, interestingly enough, just really quick. I'm not calling myself wealthy empress. That's the archetype that I'm holding space for the women who work with me. Like I want them to step into their wealthy empress archetype, which means, creating a signature program, making their business model really focused around a higher ticket offer, and having funnels and automations that are supportive of that, and creating and helping their visibility and confidence, all these things that help their overflow and them to step into more of their time freedom. Speaking of freedom. And so someone shared, not to get into the details too much, but someone shared it with me. They hid it from me and were calling me out like I wasn't fit to teach this. And so it was really interesting because it really activated that archetype within me even more. Like I felt my wealthy empress, which felt like boundaries, sovereignty. I'm like, oh no, I can teach this. It was like a moment of, and then like a couple podcast ideas came from it. And so it was really interesting. I had this projection and then I found my truth. And I was like, no, this is what's true for me. And she doesn't understand. And obviously there's some projections and judgments. And this is what comes up. And I called her, the hater or whatever. And like, I'm in this place. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get them if I start shining more. And if I start being visible more. And like, I'm at this place in my evolution as a woman and as a business owner that I'm going to start coming out more. I'm going to start doing for what I do for my clients, a little more for myself. Like I'm going to start shining in the limelight more and coming out in my visibility. So
yes, girl.
yeah. So it was wild. Yeah. It's so interesting to see that. And then what that activated in all these other women, like you go I didn't expect all the love, but I feel like which was amazing. And like, I'm really lifted by it, and inspired, like to get all these reflections of people's authentic appreciation of me. But then it was also like, I think it activated something in them. It's like, yeah, and so it's just really interesting to see how positive projections can happen and negative ones, and really what's at the core of all that.
Right. And it actually speaks to, we kind of come full circle to the beginning of the conversation, which is fear of this, just exactly this, when you finally do put yourself out there, what are people going to think and who's going to come at you? And
yeah. And I realized like, no, this is the archetype I want women to step into, and then my purpose behind it, my hot in my visibility formula, gave me the fire that like, I take a stand for women's financial empowerment, sovereignty, and to create a business model that is supportive of them being more in their feminine and in their genius and their gifts. And yeah, so it lit the fire in me. And so then I came back to that path of like, this is why I'm being visible. I'm going to stay visible. But in the past, I might have gone, okay, I'm just going to go change my brand name right now and shrink away.
Exactly. And look,
don't do that, people.
And now you're sharing that with other people, how to do that for themselves.
Yes.
You are amazing. Lucinda Rae, the CEO of Prosperity Branding. We are so happy to have you on today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Beck.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Intuition Unleashed. We hope you found it informative and thought-provoking. But before you go, we have a little challenge for you. Most of us have sneaky little habits that hold us back and trip us up, so why not take this not at all uncomfortable quiz to find out what you do to derail yourself from achieving your goals and how you can call yourself on your own BS. Get to know your self-sabotage specialty and take the first step towards getting out of the way of your own success. Just visit becknelson.com/quiz and take the quiz now. That's becknelson.com/quiz. We can't wait to see your results. And as always, we'll be back next week with more Intuition Unleashed. Thanks for listening.